YouTube family, what's going on? It's your boy Ty. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you tuning in. For those of you that may be new, or if this is your first time visiting, welcome. Here I primarily talk about fragrances, but I also sprinkle in some fashion and lifestyle content as well. So I need you to do me a favor. If you're interested in that type of content, go ahead, consider subscribing below, then make sure you hit the bell to stay notified anytime I post any new content. Today, back with another fragrance video, y'all, and I want to look at 10 fragrances that I'm interested in picking up for next year. So we're going to briefly go through these 10 different fragrances, ones that I'm interested in purchasing for 2025. And just to give you a breakdown, they're going to fall into two different categories. So the first category are going to be newer fragrances that have either recently released, likely in the last year, or will release in the coming months. And then the second set of fragrances that I go through, these are just ones that I've had on my list for quite some time. I've sampled once or a number of times and fell in love with them, but just haven't purchased yet. So those are going to be kind of the two different categories that they fall in. And if that sounds good to you, let's jump right into it, y'all. First up on the list, we got Emporio Armani's Stronger With You Parfum. So I'm sure a lot of you may have heard about this one already, in terms of it kind of releasing here soon, or within the upcoming months, and definitely one that I'm excited about. So based on what we can see in terms of the information that's out there on the web right now, it sounds like this one's going to be very close to the original and intensely in terms of the note breakdown and hopefully how it smells as well. So only major difference that I've seen thus far is there's an additional leather note or a leather essence that's mentioned within the new rumored parfum release. So hopefully that is the case, and if so, I think it's going to be one that is going to do very well, just like most of the ones within that lineup. But it sounds like it's going to be one that I really enjoy because that additional leather note should hopefully pull back just a little bit on the sweetness that mainly Intensely has, and I think it's just going to make it an even more well-rounded, enjoyable, but still mass appealing fragrance. So first on the list, definitely looking forward to checking out the Stronger With You Parfum. And next up on the list, y'all, we have Mancera's Fig Me Up. So this is one that I'm definitely, very intrigued by, mainly because based on the note breakdown, it sounds like nothing that I have in my collection. So very intrigued, to potentially add something completely different to my collection and have one of those standout fragrances. So I think this one has officially released overseas, at least. I don't know if it's available here in the US yet, but would imagine that it will become a little bit more easily accessible here in the coming months. But essentially what you're getting with this one, based on the note breakdown, of course you get some fruitiness, so you get that fig, and I think plum is also within this one. Then you also get what they call creamy wood, so I know there's a mix of oud, sandalwood as well, I believe. And then you get a very interesting base that has, of course, that signature musk that you get with a lot of Mancera fragrances, but then it also has toffee and tonka bean as well. So I think this is going to be one that is very, like I said, very interesting. It's going to be a little different, like I said, a step outside of kind of what is out there on the mass market, the things that we're kind of used to seeing and smelling. So I'm very intrigued by this one, and like I said, definitely want to get my nose on it. Hopefully I can pick up a sample here soon. But regardless, like I said, just knowing the kind of quality that Mancera has, and again being a very affordable niche brand, it's one that I definitely plan to pick up next year, assuming that after I sample it, it smells as I think it will. So that's Mancera Fig Me Up, definitely one that I'm looking forward to checking. Next up on the list, y'all, we have Tom Ford's Bois Pacifique, and this one actually recently released, and I believe it's through their signature line. So again, you are able to pick up this one at this point, I believe, through Tom Ford's website and through Nordstrom, at least at the time of this recording. But again, this one's called Bois Pacifique, but doesn't seem to be aquatic, watery, or have any sort of marine feel to it, at least. It sounds like it's more of a woody, spicy fragrance. So I know you have some oak wood, some cedar wood. I believe there's cardamom and even a turmeric note in here, again, from the spice perspective. And then I think you get some amber and vanilla in the dry down. So again, just sounds to be, a warm, spicy, woody fragrance. And for me, definitely sounds like one I'd like to add or potentially have in my collection. So again, plan to sample this one soon here, right, since it's officially released at this point. But after sampling, again, hoping it smells as I think it will, likely will look to pick up a full bottle of that at some point in 2025. So again, that's Tom Ford, released through their signature line, and that's Bois Pacifique. I also have two rose-based fragrances that are going to round out the first half of this list that has primarily focused on the newer or upcoming releases. And again, rose is just a note that has really been resonating with me recently. I have a few rose-based fragrances in my collection, but definitely looking forward to adding, more here soon. So when I heard that Tom Ford was, releasing a rose-based fragrance or, actually just recently released one, definitely is something that intrigued me. And the one that I want to talk about first is Tom Ford's Rose Exposed. So again, this one sounds to be pretty straightforward. Of course, a heavy emphasis and a heavy dose of rose, but then I think you also get some white pepper and some musk as well. So this one sounds very intriguing. It sounds like one that I'm definitely, going to enjoy. It's kind of right up my alley in terms of, rose-based fragrances that I have enjoyed in the past. So I know this one, at least at the time of this recording, it has released overseas. I'm not sure if we're able to pick it up here in the States yet, but again, as soon as we are plan to sample or, get my nose on it kind of ASAP, 2025, I'm definitely going to need a full bottle of Rose Exposed. And this one has actually officially released, y'all, so you can pick it up on Versace's website. Not sure if it's available anywhere else quite yet, but I definitely plan to sample soon, get my nose on it, check it out. But essentially, of course, rose is the focus, so that's one of the primary notes, but you also get some mandarin and cardamom in the opening of this fragrance, and then it dries down to musk, vetiver, and cedarwood. So again, in terms of rose fragrances that I have enjoyed in the past, I think this is one that will align and will be one that I enjoy as well. Again, having kind of that cedar, the musk and the base, make it a little more masculine, a little bit more wearable, for me at least. And then, the additional kind of freshness and spice in the opening, I think that's something that I'll definitely be a fan of as well. So again, rounding out the initial half of this list, so with the new releases, we have the Versace Atelier collection, and that is called Rose Flamboyante. Okay, moving into the 5 fragrances that are older releases that I've smelled and just haven't had a chance to pick up, but I plan to pick them up next year. Starting with Gucci Guilty Elixir. Y'all, this one smells amazing. I smelled it actually whenever I was just randomly browsing, wasn't looking for that. But I was in Dillard's a few months back just checking out some other fragrances and happened to smell that one. It actually reminded me a lot, I'm not sure if any of you all have the Gucci Guilty Elixir out there, but it reminded me a lot of Reflection Man from Homage. So white florals, you kind of get some vanilla, a little bit of amber, some spice as well. I think nutmeg is in there, but really nice, really fresh fragrance, again with those white florals, but has that depth and warmth to it. And again, I just thoroughly enjoyed this one. I think it's definitely at minimum 2, but probably 3 season fragrance. For sure, you can wear it, fall, winter. I think spring as well. Summer, you probably can do summer evenings, but might be a little bit too heavy for summer during the day. But nonetheless, again, this one smelled amazing. It was blended very well. This was a fragrance that, again, almost purchased on the spot, but wanted to get a full sampling underneath my belt, wear it in some different, situations and occasions, and, then purchase. And now that I've done that, it's definitely one that's at the top of the list in terms of pickups that I need for 2025. So again, first one we're going to talk about for past releases is Gucci's Guilty Elixir. Y'all, we got YSL's Myself Le Parfum, and I actually smelled the EDP when it originally released. I did enjoy it, I did like it, never purchased a full bottle of it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the Le Parfum is one that I actually love. So they're very similar. I won't say exactly the same, but I think it's a little redundant to maybe own both. But if you love that DNA, maybe not. But for me, like I said, I'm glad I held off on buying the EDP, because the Le Parfum just takes that kind of DNA, but just to the next level, and it makes it a little darker and a little bit more rich. So essentially you get some orange blossom, I think that's one of the key notes in there, but then you also get some amber, some vanilla, some patchouli. I know you get some other woody notes, I believe, as well, and just a really enjoyable and very easy to wear fragrance. Again, the original EDP, I say that's year-round, all situations, all scenarios in terms of when you can wear it. The Le Parfum looks a little deeper, a little darker, a little more rich, but I still think you can get away with it pretty much all year round, except, of course, summertime high heat, you'll probably want to reach for something else instead of that. All in all, it's a fragrance that smells great. Yeah, it may be on the simple side, but simple is not bad. There's nothing wrong with simple, y'all. So it's relatively, simplistic, but it smells amazing, and definitely one that I'm picking up for 2025. Okay, y'all, next up from Louis Vuitton, we have California Dream. And y'all, I actually don't own any full bottles of Louis Vuitton fragrances yet. So I think this is going to be my one. I do enjoy, Imagination, Afternoon Swim, L'Immensité, all of the above from Louis Vuitton. They do really good, a really good job of kind of putting out the fresher fragrances. I know they have some, deeper ones as well, like Ombre Nomad, but to me, the fresher ones are what stood out most. Last time I went to the Louis Vuitton store, I kind of went through and smelled, I think, the majority, if not all of their fragrances. And California Dream, I think, is the one that spoke to me most, and it's the one that I want to pick up. Relatively simplistic, so it's mostly citrus. I think you get some mandarin orange up top. You get some ambrette. I think you get benzoin and some vanilla as well. Of course, some musk. And just a really simple, easy to wear, fresh, year-round fragrance. And it's one that I just really enjoyed. The longevity seems to be pretty good as well from, the initial test that I did. But again, more than anything, the smell is what captured me. And of the many, great smelling fresh fragrances that they had, California Dream, one that isn't talked about as much within the fragrance community, but definitely is one that I think I'm going to pick up in 2025. Okay, these final two fragrances, I would call these heavy hitters within the fragrance community. Very well known, very well respected for the most part, have been out for quite some time. So because of that, I won't jump too far into kind of explaining the scent profile, DNA, things like that. But nonetheless, are two that I still look forward to picking up. And the first of those is Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Oud Wood, I'm not sure what else I can say about this fragrance, y'all. I've been through probably 4 or 5 decants of it at this point. So it's time, y'all. It's time. I'm adding this to the fragrance collection in 2025. It's a must. I have to do it. It'll probably be one of the first ones that I purchase. So, again, that masculine, kind of fresh, woody spice with vanilla, just has all the right amount of everything. It has the right amounts of everything, and an enjoyable fragrance and relatively versatile as well. So Tom Ford's Oud Wood definitely getting added to the list in 2025. Okay, and last but not least, y'all, we have Xerjoff's 40 Knots. And I actually just recently did a video on this one, so it's top of mind. When I was traveling for vacation, I took a decant of this with me and kind of fell in love with it all over again. So again, with a name like 40 Knots, and if you see the bottle, you think, a blue, a fresh fragrance. And yes, it is that, right? It has some components of a blue fragrance. It is on the fresher side, but it also has this warmth, right? From maybe an amber or a vanilla or a benzoin, and you even get some spiciness as well. So this fragrance, and I think all the fragrances in the Join the Club collection, they don't really give you many fragrance notes kind of to go off of. So everything that you see isn't, necessarily what you get. And I'm sure there, are a number of different other notes that are actually within this fragrance, but nonetheless, again, relatively complex in terms of, how this fragrance develops and how it smells and, what goes into it. But for me, still very versatile as well. 4-season fragrance, kind of easy to wear. And again, I've been through a number of decants with this one, and it's just about that time. So Xerjoff's 40 Knots, definitely picking up a full bottle. And that's going to wrap up today's review, y'all. So I want to start by thanking you all for tuning in, watching this video. Really appreciate it. But if you could do me a favor, leave me a comment below. Let me know what fragrances you're looking forward to picking up in 2025. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And as always, until next time, peace and love.